welcome back to my channel. Here today to start a vlog where I read some of the books that the publishers have been sending me recently. And I know you're probably saying, well, why would you get books from the publishers and not read them? But if you've been here for a while, you may have noticed the accumulation of unread books on my physical TBR. So today we're going to try to right some of those wrongs. If you've been here for a while, thank you so much for being here. You may have noticed that I get a lot of books from the publishers, which I include in my hauls, but I don't always read those books because a lot of the books that I read, if you watch my recap videos, you would know a lot of the books that I read come from the library. So I've been making an intentional decision to start picking up some of the books that I've been getting from publishers. A few weeks ago, I was filling in some gaps on my bookshelf and I realized how many physical books I own that are still unread. So I decided to try to right some of those wrongs. Not that I'm gonna stop getting books from the library, because that will never happen. I never want that to happen. But I also want to read more of the books that I own, more of the books that were interesting to me at some point in the past. Interesting enough for me to reach out to a publisher and ask them to send it to me. So these are some of the books that I have gotten lately. I'm going to try to include a couple of these in this video, but I also may reach for a book that I got sometime in the past because it's also a goal of mine to read down my shelves. So the books that I'm holding up today include The Book of Alchemy by Sulika Jawad. She's the author of Between Two Kingdoms, a memoir which I read and really enjoyed. I think this one focuses on how journaling has helped her in her life, and I definitely want to read that. I have Tina Knowles' memoir, Matriarch, which is getting a lot of buzz right now. It's an Oprah's book club pick. I definitely want to read it. Fun for the Whole Family is a novel by Jennifer E. Smith, and I'm always in the mood for really good family sagas, so definitely want to read this, hopefully in this video. And this one I unboxed or unpackaged recently. Leave It Up to You is a novel by Jin-Woo Chong. I started reading this in a reading sprint and just never got back to it. So I'd like to continue this as well. So all of these are books that the publishers sent me in the last few weeks. And I'm probably going to be choosing 2 of them for this video and maybe one other book that I got previously. Maybe a book that was sent to me last year, or I don't know, a new package might come in the mail and I'll be so enticed to pick that one up. So we'll just have to wait and see what we read in this video, but stay tuned. Hi friends, it is Monday, May 11th. I'm starting a new book. This is Fun for the Whole Family by Jennifer E. Smith. This is a book that the publishers sent to me recently. So we're kicking off a brand new vlog where we're reading the books that the publishers sent to me. So I just started this one. It is immediately intriguing. It is about a family of 4 siblings, twins and 2 other siblings. And we meet them when they're children. Their mother has left the family in some way, but she comes back to take them on road trips, and so they're marking off the states that they visited on a map, which is something that I just really want to do. That last year we took a road trip that covered 10 states, so I don't know what this summer will be like, but yeah, I just love that idea of, you know, traveling across the country and seeing all the places. We meet the family when the siblings are children, and then we just get like a little introduction to them as children, and then we meet them again some years later. They're now adults in their 30s and 40s, and they've become estranged because of something that happened some years prior. But we meet them when one of the siblings is trying to gather everyone again, and she sends a message inviting them to a state that they've never been to, and it is us meeting them in their various lives and responding to this message from someone that they haven't seen or talked to in months or years, inviting them to do something that they would have chomped at the bit to do years before, and now they have to be kind of thinking about it, have to kind of be talked into it by their others, you know, other family members, spouses and fiancés and exes and children and all of that. I'm really loving the family dynamics. It starts off with this quote. So the title is Fun for the Whole Family, and it starts off with this quote from Jerry Seinfeld which says, "There's no such thing as fun for the whole family." And I just took a moment to think about what that really means, and I love it. So I am at page 35. I've been having a little bit of a reading slump, just having read a lot of books in a short period of time a week and a half ago. After that project stopped, and I still need to resume it. I still need to go back and finish my reading list that I had created, but none of those books right now are intriguing to me, and I don't want this slump to continue. So I picked up the first book that I was really excited about. So thank you so much to the publishers, Penguin Random House, for having gifted me this one. I love the cover. this time the book didn't come with any swag. I think just the book is going to be enough, and so far it is. So page 35, I'm waiting for my daughter to get out of school, so I don't know how many more pages I will get to, but I will chat with you when I've made some more progress or when I've finished. So the novel is told in this alternating perspective and alternating timeline that I just absolutely love. With each consequent entry, we get a little bit more of the story of each individual, but also of the family, and the timeline is progressing, and I just love it. I love it. This book is set in 2025, and I know it's 2025 now, but I read a lot of older books, so it's a real treat for me to be reading what it feels like a current timeline. I'm just soaking this all up. Not that I don't enjoy it too, but quite often when my daughter is doing her artwork, she wants me to participate. She wants me to also do an activity. So in today's creative time, I decided that while my daughter was doing some art, I would try to remake the cover of this book. And I started having so much fun that even when she was finished with her project, I just kept going. So it turned out to be more of an impression than the actual artwork, because I wasn't planning to do all the lettering, but then I just decided to do it. So sometimes these publisher packages come with bookmarks. This time it didn't, so I made my own, and I love it. I just finished reading Fun for the Whole Family by Jennifer E. Smith, and I loved it. This is a 5-star read. It was perfect. It had all the emotions that you could possibly want in a book and more, because there's some things that happen in this family that are unexpected, but it also shows how families and how people deal with the real parts of life, like the joys, the highs and the lows, the joys and the sadness. And man, I had all the feels. And because it is a road trip book, there is a section in the book where the titles are named after the states that they're visiting, because this family, throughout their lives, they've been taking these trips across the country, and they've been trying to check off how many states they've visited. And as children, they were doing this, and then as they became adults and they hadn't completed going to all 50 states, and their lives, they started moving in their own circles, following their own paths. And so some people had gone to places that the others hadn't. And so there are different places in this journey of trying to check off all the states. There's a place in the book where the titles are the states. And so as she is alternating between perspectives and timelines, we're also making this road trip with the characters, checking off the states as well. And I don't know, I'm assuming that she checks off every state, all 50 states in the book. It wasn't until I was far enough in the book that I realized that this was a thing. So I will probably have to go back and just see how she did that. But because it is a family and it's tracing their lives, it's not a sightseeing journey, it is more the journey of this family. But there are some places where she pauses to show you a little bit of the things that you would experience if you were taking that road trip. And so I'm so happy that I was wearing this shirt. This is my shirt, my souvenir from when we visited Mount Rushmore in South Dakota last year. And I've been wearing it now for a couple of days because I need to take a shower. I'm a little grimy. But it just felt so appropriate that I was wearing this when I was reading her talking about the characters being in South Dakota. Yep, here it is. Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska, Wyoming, Colorado. So on our trip last year, we went to South Dakota, Wyoming. We didn't actually go to Colorado, but two of these. Is it here? In any case, there's a place here where she mentions Mount Rushmore, and I was like, if I could get a selfie with the words of the page with my shirt, but I don't need to do that. I've actually been to Mount Rushmore. I'm really proud of that. I hope it doesn't come off like bragging, but it was a really, really fun time for me. There was a lot of responsibility. There was a lot of other things that we did on that trip, and this is a little bit of an aside, but because I was on this trip with my family as well as my church group, it was just really special. And that's what this book captures. It's a lot of the special moments in families, and how what family means expands. And sometimes, there are places in your relationship where things are superficial, and then because of the connection that you have from just loving these people for so long, for knowing them for your whole life, that even things that could be superficial in another context become really meaningful. And so I just really love how these four siblings, it's a set of twins and their two, I think, older siblings, and it traces the journey of their love through their like adolescence and into adulthood. And I love how a lot of the characters are mirroring experiences that a lot of us would be familiar with, but it also is really helpful to see how it's processed in a fictional way. It's not a completely happy ending, like some of the reveals are very sad. But I truly love this book, so I just want to thank the publishers for having gifted me this one. Penguin Random House gifted me this book, and I have loved a lot of the books that they have sent me recently. Whoever is on their romance editing team, they deserve all the praise. This is from Penguin Random House, their Ballantine imprint, and so I highly recommend this book if you love any of the things that I just mentioned. So none of the book, I'm gonna go take a shower, take the road trip shirt off, put the road trip book down and I'm gonna go find something else to read. So next slide. I just filmed a video for TikTok and I tried to refilm it here, vlog style, landscape style, so that I could include it in the vlog. But in any case, I wanted to show you receiving these two books because they just came in today. I stepped outside to go on my walk. I found this delightful package waiting for me, and inside were these two books, highly anticipated. Thank you so much, Penguin Random House, for having gifted me these brand new releases. This is I Will Blossom Anyway by Disha Bose. That's the author right there. And this is Missing Half by Ashley Flowers, and that's the author right there. These are highly anticipated. This is a thriller mystery, and this is family drama. But I just read the synopsis in the first take. And I can't read this now because I just finished reading Fun for the Whole Family, which is about 4 siblings, and this is also about 4 siblings. So it wouldn't be fair because it would set up a comparison in my mind, and I don't want to do that. This is also about siblings. This is about a girl reeling from the disappearance of her sister. And so because that also tackles some of the same issues that was in Fun for the Whole Family, I can't read either of these two books, even though I want to dive into both of them right now. So my next read is going to be I Leave It Up to You by Jin Woo Chung. This one the publishers had sent to me a couple of months ago, and I started reading it during a live show. I read the first maybe like 20 or 30 pages, and I like the premise of it. It's about a man who wakes up from a coma and has to go back to live with his family, who he's been trying to kind of escape their rules. The thing about it is the premise of the story is really intriguing to me, but the beginning of the story, like the first page is like really graphic descriptions, and I did not want to, like, I don't want to be attacked by graphic content in the first page of a book. Like, it makes me scared about what to expect coming up. I feel like that's not what the rest of the book is going to be about. So I'm still intrigued to try it. So I'm gonna read it. So I'm gonna start reading it. I'm gonna start again. If it is too much for me, then I reserve the right to DNF, but at least I will say that I tried. Gave it a solid try. So this is my next read. That's the author right there. All right, I'm waiting to pick up my daughter from school. I have about half an hour before she's dismissed. You know, I come early so I can get a parking spot, but also so I can get some time to read. So let me actually read. I'm scared about the first page. The chapter title has an expletive in it. Oh gosh. So it's about half an hour later. I'm at page 38 in I Leave It Up to You by Jin Woo Chung. The dialogue, the setup, the premise of the story is just really intriguing. If I could just rip out those like first 2 pages of the book, it would be much better. Anyway, it is what it is. I'm not the writer, I'm the reader. So after what feels like many days, I have finally finished I Leave It Up to You by Jin-Woo Chong. Here are some things that I really enjoyed about it. The premise of the story is really intriguing. We're reading about a young man in his late 20s. In October 2019, he is in an accident and he goes into a coma, and he remains in a coma for almost 2 years. So when he wakes up, the world is different. The pandemic has happened, for one. And so when he wakes up, things are almost unrecognizable. Also, before he went into the coma, he was living in New York City, estranged from his family in New Jersey. He spent some time trying to get away from New Jersey, and now he has found himself back in New Jersey. The family that he had been separated from for so long, they've been the ones taking care of him. And now he has to kind of readjust to those family dynamics, as well as changes in other relationships. And I liked how the author explored these different kinds of relationships. Our main character is a gay man, Asian American man, and he explores a lot of the cultural issues in these Asian American families. And I don't want to make generalizations, but our main character here is a Korean American man. There's also some Japanese connections and very traditional parents with traditional values, and a little bit of that differing cultural expectations between these two generations of this family. So I liked how the author treated the different dynamics, the different generational characters. There are also some teenage characters in here, and so there's this influence of pop culture and, you know, a lot of the youthful experience. Our main character is in his late 20s to early 30s, and some of the parent characters are also included. And I really liked how these multi-generational relationships were explored. When we were focusing on the teenage characters, we got things that I think would be unique to the teenage experience. And yeah, so I liked it. I liked it. What I particularly liked about this story was the attempts of the family members to forge these new bonds, to keep going in the way that things had been progressing while this young man was asleep. And it reminds me of that movie, While You Were Sleeping, Sandra Bullock. There was one issue that I had with the book that felt a little cringe. There was this thing that was happening while this man was asleep, and I don't want to give you too much of the plot, but I wasn't sure how I felt about this development. Was it a little bit of emotional manipulation? I'm not sure. But I like how the author resolved it, because sometimes you just need to give things time. So I think my rating, I'm going to settle on maybe a 3.5. But I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about my rating because I have to start the next book. Time is passing. So my next book I've already chosen is going to be this one, The Last Ferry Out by Andrea Bartz. The publishers just sent this one to me. I was very excited to have it, so I opened it when I was out on my walk. I started this walking challenge. So if you aren't already following me on TikTok, go follow me. That's where I'm posting my daily walks, maybe to encourage you if you want to start working on some outdoor exercise as well. So this is what I'm going to be reading. Not going to be reading it while I'm walking, but in between. So The Last Ferry Out by Andrea Bartz. I'll tell you about it in the next clip. So I started reading The Last Ferry Out by Andrea Bartz, and I'm really enjoying it. It is not a perfectly written story, but it is really immersive. It is kind of a locked room mystery where the characters are all on this island in the Mexican Caribbean, and something happened in the past, and we're revisiting it in the present. So our main character here is a woman named Abby. She's a gay woman, and 4 months prior to her arriving on the island, her fiance was there, and she died. Yeah. So her fiance went to visit this island 4 months earlier. She died there, and so now Abby has come to the island, and she's trying to figure out what happened. Because her fiance's parents were very tight-lipped about what happened with the incident because of their, rejection of the gay lifestyle. They refused to acknowledge Abby's presence in their daughter's life. And so even when the fiance Esther died, she didn't get any answers about what happened. So she knows generally what happened, but not the details. So now 4 months later, she has arrived on the island to try to figure out for herself what happened. And so she's meeting all of these expatriates, and expatriates, we only call them expatriates if they've come from America. We call tourists on this small Mexican island, and everybody there seems to have a past, like a reason why they have left their lives behind and are now making it solo on this island. And so here we have Abby trying to figure out what happened. And she's only there for a short period of time, but something kind of suspicious seems to have happened with another one of the group of expatriates. And so it's a lot of mysteries that they're trying to unravel at the same time. I'm really enjoying it, like I said. I enjoy the whole kind of cloistered feel where everybody is forced to be in communion or contact with each other. And it's difficult, but not impossible. The author includes a lot of the elements that you expect, where as we get to know different characters, we're learning a little bit more about the mystery surrounding their lives, but also why it is possible for something to happen in such a small place and not everyone know about it, because everybody is keeping a secret from everybody else. And so I'm really enjoying that. We're also getting inclusions of little elements of nature. What are the things that make this island unique? Like a little bit of the wildlife, and yeah, you know, just really enjoyable reading. So I am going to go finish it up. I have about 100 pages left, and I can't wait to see how this actually all turns out. So this is a little footage from a TikTok that I was filming, so if you aren't already following me on that platform, go check me out as well. I will include the TikTok here. Hope to see you on the other platforms if you're there, of course. Thank you. So I finished reading The Last Ferry Out by Andrea Bartz, and I enjoyed it. It was kind of a locked room mystery setup where we're reading about a young woman named Abby. She was in a same-gender relationship. Her fiance passed away 4 months prior to when the story picks up, and we're trying to figure out alongside her what happened, what led up to her fiance's death. So the fiance had gone on a trip to a remote island in Mexico, and she had an allergic reaction there and died. And because her parents, the fiance's parents, had not approved of their relationship, they had kept the details away from her. So she's trying to find out things that she thinks the fiance's family knew, but she didn't, because they had kept her out of the loop. So I like how when she goes to this island and she's meeting people who her fiance had met 4 months prior, she is trying to figure out who they are and whether or not they are suspicious, what's up, Pumpkin? Can I make your tea? Yes, I will make your tea. Can you give me 1 minute to finish this? Okay. I love you. I'm so happy to see you. So we're reading about this group of what they call themselves expatriates staying on this island in Mexico, and everybody there is trying to start over. You know, sometimes people leave their homes because they are leaving things behind actively, and it's not always criminal activity. So while Abby is meeting these other people there who are actively trying to leave their past behind, she's trying to figure out if their attempts to be secretive are supposed to be suspicious, if the things that they are trying to leave in the past have anything to do with her fiance's death. So I like the mystery. I like how the author presents all these different layers of people's lives, and you know, what is suspicious and what isn't, how far we should really go into uncovering the past. I like that. So of the 3 books that I read for this vlog, this one is still definitely my favorite. This is my highest recommendation from this video. So if you're looking to pick up one of these 3 books, this would be my recommendation. But you know, based on your taste, you may like these for different reasons. Both of these have same-gender relationships being explored. They both address the issue of parents' acceptance of people who are in these same-gender relationships. This one too, but to a lesser extent, because the parent figures are not as present as in these 2 books. So all 3 of these books have some LGBTQ representation, but in different ways. So I would recommend all of these for different reasons. Let me know in the comments down below if you're going to be picking up any of these for any of the reasons that I spoke about, or otherwise, because sometimes in my attempt to not give too much of the story away, I may omit talking about something that is important to you. So let's chat about it. So let's talk in the comments, and until we come back for another video like this one, happy reading. Bye.